Let's get to LSU and Alabama. Joe, another physical domination game here. Alabama goes into Death Valley and dominates LSU. Your thoughts on the game? Here we go.
I want to let's get to Alabama. Let's get Alabama out of the way first. Let's talk about Alabama and give them their flowers for the performance that they had. Blake,
domination, pure domination,
complete domination. They completely outcoached LSU. We'll touch on that in a second. This was a perfectly schemed up performance. They knew that if they took Jalen Milroe and said, Jalen, go be yourself, man. Go play your ass off and just go take over this football game. There were some performances so far this year, and like the Tennessee game is a perfect example of it, where it felt really clunky. But they knew that they were going to be able to out-athlete in space with Jalen Milroe compared to some of these linebackers and defensive linemen that LSU had that have been inconsistent, and their performances have been masked by a couple of good games that made us think that they were better than they actually were. Alabama played phenomenally. They're deserving of being back in the national championship relevance. Their problems are not completely fixed, but here is the biggest, absolutely biggest thing that needs to be brought up. When Alabama plays clean, strong football, and they're not making stupid, silly mistakes, they're not having a million turnovers, that is the version of them that can show up on a game-to-game basis. They can be one of the best teams in the country when they're not making a ton of silly, dumb mistakes. It's not a great number, but they only had 7 for 74. That's on the lower side of some of their bad performances for penalties.
And
they looked a lot
in the fourth quarter when the game was out of hand.
Right. This was one of the cleaner games that they've played. 42 points is something that you should aspire to have every single week and that they're capable of producing.
Here's the only thing I'd say. In the first half, I thought the game was a little bit closer, right? If LSU doesn't turn the ball over in the game, Joe, they had both times where they could have gotten themselves right back in the game, and they didn't. Not to take anything away from Alabama, they stopped them from doing that. Jalen Milroe looked healthier. Bye week clearly helped him. And, Joe, they saw, for what it's worth, to your part about Kalen DeBoer coming off of a bye week, he saw Ole Miss, he saw South Carolina, he saw USC, and he saw A&M. And he goes, well, shit. If everybody wants to be physical with them and that's how you beat LSU, well, you're damn right. That's what I'm going to do. And they dominated. Kalen DeBoer, for what it's worth, and Nick Sheridan. Look, man, they're offensive dudes. And they were like, we want to play some bully ball. I want to show that I can do this too against LSU. And they did it. Look, Jalen Milroe was your run game. I mean, look, Haynes and Miller could not really get a whole lot going yesterday. LSU pretty much contained them. I would have rather them contain Milroe versus the other two, but they couldn't do that because they got out-athleted. But the bye week, this is ironic, Joe. Now, they didn't have 2 losses last year. The LSU game for Alabama is where Jalen Milroe hit his stride last year and then took off, okay? Is that going to be what happens again this year? If you're going to commit and he's okay with running the way that he is, Joe, it doesn't matter. When you can go in there and out-physical some teams, you're going to win. Now, I look at the rest of their schedule, okay? I think they have Mercer and then Auburn and maybe somebody else in there. I forget who it is.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I have it.
But I'm pretty sure that they have Mercer this week.
Mercer, Oklahoma, Auburn. So there's no reason for them.
Welcome back to playoff conversations, Alabama, right? I mean,
Auburn's at home too, by the way.
Right, and so here you go. Joe, they ran the ball for 311 yards, and that's how you have to take from it. I mean, defensively, they were able to get some turnovers. I don't know if that's them or Nussmeier necessarily because Nuss has let everybody turn him over. But, man, you out-physicaled and dominated a team. And, look, it's always a big thing when you can go into Death Valley at night and get a victory. Kalen DeBoer answered a lot of questions yesterday where Brian Kelly couldn't.
And a lot of times, to final thought on Alabama before we jump to the inevitable criticism of Brian Kelly, a lot of the special seasons that Alabama has had, they have secured victories on the road at LSU. I like that. Having a win like that is a big momentum builder. Like anyone who's an Alabama fan knows that if you're able to accomplish that in the hardest, this is the whole thing that we talked about in the preview. And this is the whole reason why we're about to light up Brian Kelly for the way that they played yesterday. If you're able to get a win on the road in the hardest place to play on the road, it is a rallying point. It 1000% can be a point for your team to get locked in and to finish the season strong. And I don't know off the top of my head where they fit in the SEC championship picture, but a playoff berth feels inevitable for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're right squarely in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right.
Similar to Ole Miss. Similar to Ole Miss. They're in a very
similar
locked-in
to Ole
spot.
Miss. I mean, yeah.
I mean, Mercer's got a good defense, though. You guys better watch out. Mercer, I'm like not even joking. Mercer has a good defense. They actually do. They have the best defense in the FCS. It's not even a joke. But it obviously is. They're going to kick shit out of Mercer. Obviously, an Alabama fan's going to say that I'm an Alabama hater for saying that.
Yeah, because it's what you sound like. Last thing on Alabama here. Joe, Kalen DeBoer came in and played SEC football. Old school. They were 10 of 13 on third down. He goes, you know what, man? You know what wins in this league? Running the football. And it's exactly what he did against a team who, look, LSU wasn't completely horrible at stopping the run. Now they were against running quarterbacks. And they did exactly what LSU couldn't fix. And so it was what it was.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.